Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we're the two hosts of Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, which is a nerd cast where we talk about things that we enjoy. It's usually almost always Star Wars, but very rarely like today.
We're all out of Star Wars.
There's not a lot of Star
There's
Wars.
no Star Wars.
Yeah. To briefly recap what I was just reading, Dave Filoni talked about Thrawn a little bit, about how but pretty much like he sees Harrison Dula as the foil to Thrawn.
Okay.
And how he'd like to see them go at each other and everything, which is, it's kind of cool. I think in the books it was an Akbar Thrawn thing, which probably I would enjoy more. And I think people out of all the things I love in The Last Jedi, the one thing I wasn't crazy about is he was very unceremoniously killed.
Who?
Akbar.
Oh yeah.
He's in the bridge when it gets blown up.
Oh yeah.
And the only line he gets is from that one assistant lady who's like, everyone on the bridge, including Akbar, the one guy everyone knows, is dead. So no funeral.
Yeah.
We don't care about it that much.
Buried in space.
Yeah. So
there was one other Star Wars news adjacent thing.
Yeah.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, go for it.
Like a week or two ago, we were talking about how the only Star Wars shows coming next year are Acolyte and Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
Well, Lucasfilm put out a press release saying, actually, Bad Batch Season 3 and Tales of the Jedi Season 2 are still coming next year.
Which also meant by default that Andor Season 2 isn't happening.
Yes, it's in 2025.
Yeah, which sucks. John and I just finished a rewatch of Andor a few days ago. And I remember when we were watching Ahsoka, there's a lot of fan service in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fine. I wasn't pissed off by it or anything. I really like the Anakin stuff. And I remember everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the best Disney Plus show. And I was like, yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
It's good, but it's no Andor.
Yeah, but I'm going to wait until the end because in my heart of hearts, Andor is the best Disney Plus Star Wars. In fact, Andor is some of the best Star Wars we've ever had, right?
Andor and Rogue One.
Yeah, and I watched through that show and fucking Andy Serkis
can't swim.
Even before his whole monologue, the whole thing. What is it that he says to rouse the troops?
One way out.
One way out, right? In the same episode, Luthen's monologue to the ginger guy.
And good episode for monologues.
Marva's speech at the end, the marching band.
Fuck the Empire.
When we did our best moments of, I cannot believe that I forgot to put the fucking marching band in there because that shit. Like, obviously, I'm a band nerd.
Yes,
and not only are there cool instruments. And it's a neat detail that they're kind of out of tune with each other because all marching bands are like that. They're just out of tune. That's why I hate listening to marching bands. They play this slow dirge, and then there's a breaking point, and they're like, "Time to break out the fast motherfucker," and they play something quicker, and it's more exciting. And
all of a sudden, it's like New Orleans.
And then I can't believe this didn't make my best of moments. Fucking Brasso with the brick. Having everything break and him turning to the nearest fucking stormtrooper and just going, ah! And just like hitting him with the brick. I was like,
which is exactly what Marvel would have wanted.
Yeah,
by the way.
you can tell that dude's like a gentle giant, right? And he's just like taking all this shit. And finally, at the end, he's like, I'm done.
I'm going to smack a motherfucker with a motherfucker.
And I have a brick in my hand, so let's fucking go. So anyway, we rewatched that, and I was just like, holy God, this is some great Star Wars. So today on the show, that's as much Star Wars as you're getting.
That's all Star Wars.
I'm very sorry.
I'm very sorry.
You and I just now, 10 minutes ago, finished watching Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. We're going to talk about that.
Oh boy, are we.
Yeah, we're going to do a spoiler-free review and then a spoiler review. Marvel, What If Season 2 had 2 episodes? Yep. We're going to talk about those.
And there's going to be a bajillion more by the time we have the next episode of this. So.
We'll do the rest of them next week, we can't do them next. Well, so we're not doing any news next week either because next week is our year in review. So
it's fine. There won't be any news.
Yeah, there definitely won't be a Star Wars story time next week, probably, because we just won't have time.
Yeah.
So if you're here, like watching the podcast when it comes out, time codes are in the description of the video. You can check that out if you just want to go straight to our thoughts on Rebel Moon.
Snyder Bros, strap in.
Yeah. Thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Veritas. Thanks for your work. Thanks for your tolerance of our bullshit, which I understand, as I'm told, can be a lot.
We have a lot of bullshit.
Yeah. If you could click like and subscribe, make sure you share the live stream.
Send this to the biggest Zack Snyder fan you know.
So yeah. Oh man. And we're on Discord. Go check that out. The link's in the description of this video. No Battlefront tonight. We just don't have the time for it.
Yep.
And then no Gungans and Dragons tomorrow.
We're on hiatus for 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. There might actually be Battlefront tomorrow because I'm not doing. We're traveling Christmas Day, and we're not. We have a tradition every year where we open gifts on Christmas Eve. Like John and I have our Christmas, and then the next day we just travel to his parents, which are in Wisconsin, and back and shit. So, and I will have 2 very drugged dogs in the car with me.
3.
Well, no, I want to drug her. I want to drug Brecker on the way because he's a good traveler. We'll just drug him when we get there, because if he can't be in the same room with me, he gets very anxious. So
there'll be a lot of dog drugging.
Yeah, lots of very high dogs. So let's how about we'll start off with Marvel What If.
Okay.
And then we'll pivot over to Rebel Moon. So
are we starting spoiler free
for Marvel What If?
Yeah.
I was just going to talk about him.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that too.
Is there anything super? I mean, it's fine so far. It's animated. It's more or less in the same vein as the first season, I think. Some cool. What I have noticed is that both the episodes I saw easily could be entire films that they've just squeezed into a 40-minute episode.
They've done.
It moves very fast.
They do a really good job of pacing these. Yeah, because they don't need to introduce the characters exactly. Because we know who Nebula is. We know who Star-Lord is. Yeah. They just need to introduce what's different about this universe,
the shtick,
and then just get right into it.
Right. Yeah. Here's the hook. Here's what's different,
and they just go.
Yeah. Jeffrey Wright. What the fuck's different about this universe? Well, Star-Lord's an asshole. Well, he was an asshole in the other one. Well, he's a kid now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right. I get it.
He's a kid who shoots Kamehameha blasts.
Yeah, right. So the first
pace
episode.
It well, it's cool.
Yeah. First episode is Marvel does a Blade Runner.
Yes.
What
if Nebula was a noir cop?
Right. And it was literally Blade Runner with the flying cars and everything. It just, you could tell they were and I get the appeal of this movie. Have you seen Blade Runner with Harrison Ford?
I don't think so.
And then there was the sequel that happened, 100 years
Ryan
later.
Gosling.
And Harrison Ford, who's just why am I in all these movies? just
let me fly my planes.
I just want to get high and crash planes. I don't want to do this anymore. So how do we get to here? Oh yeah, so
I have to say, of all the characters that could have chosen to do this, Nebula is really good because her actor does this really good low gravelly
alto
voice, she's constantly in need of a cigarette.
Yeah. So I realized the appeal of the Blade Runner thing. I feel like that is a film of my father's generation.
Okay, fair.
And watching it, it's I get why. It's like when you watch episode 4.
Yeah, cyberpunk in general is a very early 80s thing, and neither of us were alive.
Right. And they kind of it was one of the earlier ones, right? The earlier film realizations of that.
It was one of the genre defining pieces of media there. And
well acted. Harrison Ford is amazing in it, except for, by the way, if anyone knows about this, but the studios wanted to make it more audience friendly and wanted Harrison Ford to narrate the big ideas to whack people over the head. And he really tried to convince them not to. He's that's stupid. People are smart. They'll get it. And they're no, they're not. You need to narrate exactly what's going on. And so when you listen to the recut version of him doing the narration, he is using purposefully the most bored, almost unprofessional narration where he's just and this happened and here we are. Bet you didn't understand this symbolism, did you? It's pretty much that. So anyway, Marvel What If does a Blade Runner, because it's pretty much this. I think this whole season is Marvel What If does a, because there's like a Die Hard. There's a Die Hard episode at Avengers Tower. I'm really excited to see. Marvel does a Renaissance or whatever. Okay. And so there are a couple of familiar B characters that make it back. Glenn Close's character from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Jude Law from Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Yanrog from he does the voice, by the way. I don't think Glenn Close does her character's voice because it's Glenn Close. Yeah. It'd be like getting Meryl Streep for your movie. Like that's like unless it's the star of the movie, or that's not going to happen. And so pretty much.
So in this universe, Ronan the Accuser kills Thanos, and Nebula is like stranded in space. But then the Nova Corps picks her up, and they make her a cop.
Yeah,
on Xandar.
Yeah, and it turns out like she takes the enough to be a cop, and they're like, always protect the good things.
They always look to the light. Blah blah blah.
And then Ronan
shows up, like, hey, I'm going to take over Xandar now. And the Nova Corps is like, what if you don't? And they close the blast doors.
What if we have a shield?
What if we have the blast doors? Yeah.
Close the blast doors. Close the blast doors. And it's like, the shield is like sustainable for 50 years.
Yeah.
And Ronan's like, I'll wait.
I can wait.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
And then like after a couple of years, he's like, I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah.
Right. So
that kicks off this thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So Yondu. We open with Yondu.
There's a murder.
Dead and then out.
Yeah, there's a noir murder. Yeah.
Yes, and Nebula's like, it was a very rainy night.
Yeah, it was.
I knew he was trouble the moment he stepped into my office and blah, blah, blah. That, of course, the crooked cop.
The size of watermelons. Oh, wait, that's a different kind of movie, I think.
So, of course, the dirty cops show up and start, clean up the scene, take all the evidence away. Nebula, gets out her little hologram of Yondu whistling, and it gets the arrow to come down. She grabs it and says, holy shit, there's a schematic in here for something. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Which is funny because she turns on, it's like it's the shield.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's literally the shield that you saw go up around the planet.
So she gets back into her squad car and is like, okay, I gotta go check this out. She gets a call from the chief of police who's like, hey, I need you to look into this. I need you to do it by any means necessary.
Yeah. Kill whatever innocent people you need to do. do a murder.
Nebula is like, got it.
Yeah.
So she shows up to Howard the Duck's fucking bar.
Voiced by Seth Green, by the way.
Yes.
Heard a little bit of why can't I'm starting to block Family Guy out because John watches it a lot just to like and I've seen so much of it that it's just self-fulfilling now where like I can anticipate the joke even if I haven't seen it. What is the son Peter's son's name? Chris. Yeah. Who is also voiced by Seth Green. If you listen to Howard,
Seth Green voices half the show.
Yeah, if you close your eyes just for a second in Howard the Duck, you can hear a little bit of Chris in there.
A little bit. Yeah.
Anyway,
I love that Howard the Duck's sidekicks are rock paper scissors. He has Korg, voiced by Taika Waititi.
Yep.
He has Groot.
Did Taika Waititi do the voice?
Yeah. He's in the credits.
He's in the credits. Okay.
And then they have Scissors, a guy I don't recognize, has knife hands.
It's Meek. Right? It's Korg because Korg, and then there was Meek, the guy he was carrying around with the knives.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So there you
go. He's like the little bug guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, these guys are all working at the bar, and Nebula walks in and is like, I need to talk to the boss. And Korg's like, oh, he doesn't like being disturbed when he's on a hot streak. And I need to talk to the boss. Okay, he's right up there. So she goes up and interrupts Howard the Duck's card game and is like, hey, I need you to look at this and tell me what it is. He's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And then Korg walks up and says, oh, I know what that is.
It's a shield generator.
Yeah. Well, he says it's a schematic for a computer, blah, 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 has all sorts of things, including, everyone's parking tickets and, oh, yeah, the shield generator.
Yeah.
And like, wait, go back. What was that last thing? You mean the parking tickets? No, we mean the shield generator, you dumbass.
Yeah, that was a good gag. Yeah.
So Nebula's like, okay, I know a guy. So she goes down to prison and busts out
Yanrog.
Mm-hmm.
Voiced by the gorgeous Jude Law.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she's like, hey, so I need you to do some computer stuff for me. And you definitely need to not betray me, okay?
Yeah. And no porn.
If you betray me...
That's not that kind of computer stuff.
I'm going to be very upset. Yanraga's like, I solemnly swear I will not betray you.
Yeah.
So they do a breakout. Apparently she wasn't supposed to pull him out of jail. So there's alarms get pulled and she.
They frown upon breaking people out of jail. They're supposed to be in jail, not out of jail.
But they go down to the computer core and Nebula is like, okay, I got this. Like Yanrog opens the door and he's like, well, you need something besides my computer talent to open up the computer. And she's like, don't worry, I got this. I'm a cyborg,
Yeah.
So she just walks up, plugs the computer into her head and downloads. I have a
USB port for an anus.
That would not be a very good anus, especially with USB-C. Like that, those things are really small.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they also only go one way. Now that I think about it. Anyway.
After she gets everything, like Yanrog stabs her in the neck with a flash drive and is like, "Oh, by the way, I'm
not her anus USB, her neck USB.
No, her neck USB."
Yeah.
He steals all the data and like fries her circuits or whatever, and she's left to stagger away.
Well, she's mostly unaffected by it. She's like, I was inconvenienced, but I'm actually okay.
Okay, it stuns her for a second. She goes after him and she runs into the chief of police, who's like, "Hey. I'm betraying you, by the way."
Yeah, are you ready for the old bait and switch?
Mm-hmm. So, hey, all you crooked cops, I'd like you to kill her now.
And I'm going to leave, like every fucking villain ever in every story. I'm going to leave and make sure I don't see the job done. Mm-hmm. That way it gives our hero a chance to escape.
And by the way, I wanted the codes to the shield so I can open it so that Ronan can take over because he promised to leave me in charge.
Yeah, he's like Director Krennic. It's like, am I still in command? Yeah, and then they do the other trope where she throws herself over a waterfall,
and they're like, "Job's done."
Yeah, she's probably dead.
Yeah,
they don't check for a body,
but she's not dead.
Yeah,
she gets up and starts staggering through the sewers, and like she's pretty fucked up, but she's still alive. So she gets back to Howard's place, and she's like, "Hey, you guys have guns, right?" Howard's like, yes, but you're looking kind of rough, Nebula. Like, are you sure I can't offer you a drink or something? She's like, no, I'm good. I just need guns and an arm.
And probably a wrench.
Yeah.
Bring me a wrench.
And she passes out and they do some cyborg stuff and fix her back up. And they're like, all right. So Nebula's like, okay, I'm going to go take down the entire Nova Corps. We're going to beat up the chief of police. We're going to keep the shield closed. It's going to be great.
Who's with me?
Howard's like, well, that's a whole lot of trouble, and I'm not sure I really want to do any of it. And she's like, if Ronan wins, he'll take away your liquor license. And Howard's like, that son of a bitch, I'm in.
Absolutely not. The defining characteristic of my fucking character is holding a martini. Mm-hmm. That will not do.
So he and rock, paper, scissors all gear up and they head on down to the Nova Corps. And by the way, somewhere along the line, Nova got Yondu's mohawk. So she's got the...
You mean Nebula got his mohawk?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I assume she goes down to the morgue and just like rips it off his head. Yeah. Like, this is mine now.
She's got the
cuts his face off. This is mine now.
Yeah.
I am Yondu.
She's blue just like
him.
It works. So they go down to the police station and they get up to the office where the chief is opening up the shield and Nebula's like, hey, don't do that. And she was like, you're too late. I already did. And they have a fight and Taika Waititi has some one-liners and it's great.
And then Nebula's like, you ready for the old bait and switch?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to close the shield now.
Yeah, because when you were hacking me, I was hacking you. Mm-hmm. That was the whole thing. I knew you were going to betray me. And so
I knew you were going to betray me because you said by any means necessary. Yeah. And we're supposed to be the good cops here.
Yeah. And so
we don't do that shit.
I put a little Trojan horse in the codes.
Mm-hmm. So if you try to open the shield, it'll close the shield.
Yeah.
Conveniently, right on Ronan's ship.
Yeah.
So Ronan the Accuser is kind of dead now.
Yep. Which I think he takes over Thanos' ship, right?
I think so.
Isn't that Thanos' ship? Or maybe. I can't remember. Maybe that's actually.
It doesn't matter. It's a ship.
He's like standing like in the landing bay, like ready to go. And then like the shield door closes on it. And he's like, well, this is worrying, but it's probably fine. And then it like crushes the ship. And he's like, okay, time to die, I guess. Yeah.
So the chief goes running and Nebula follows her and eventually like the chief is like hanging off a ledge by one hand and Nebula's like, here, grab my hand. And the chief is like, fuck you, and tries to shoot her.
Yeah.
and the recoil.
I'm Glenn Close.
Yeah.
The celebrated actor.
And she falls to her death and everyone's like, hey, Nebula, you're great.
Yeah.
Let's go have a party or something. Yeah. I don't know. It was good. I like that.
It's fine. Like when I read the episode is like, what if Nova joined or what if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? I was like, what? I don't care if she did.
Yeah, like I'm right there with you. I didn't really care about Nebula as a character, but this was a good episode.
As an idea, like Marvel, what if does a Blade Runner? I was like, yeah, all right, I'll do that.
I'm on board.
Next one is what if Star-Lord does a invasion?
Well, basically,
apparently does an invasion.
Yeah. So this is like, what if Yondu actually did hand over Star-Lord to Ego?
Yeah. Instead of keeping him as a weird slaver. Thing, that was weird. And then calling him his kid and stuff, because it's in like 1988 or something.
Yeah, it's well before current MCU,
and it's before Captain Marvel too, which probably just would have been their response to it.
Probably,
big invader like that. They're just like, just set the nuke off.
So like 12-year-old Peter Quill crashes into New York and starts blowing shit up, and there was like,
he must be here to invade.
Yeah,
he seems very upset.
Well, let's call the Avengers. Except we don't have Avengers, so
let's put the Avengers
Howard
together.
Stark, Peggy Carter, take us away.
So they get Hank Pym, who in every scene with Tony Stark or Daddy Stark is like, "Fuck you, I hate you." Remember our well-known rivalry from the films, and then they have
Goliath,
right? Lawrence Fishburne's character from Ant-Man the Second, I think.
First.
No, the second, the one with the ghost in it.
Okay, yeah.
I think that is the second one, right?
Yes.
I don't know. And Bucky Barnes.
Yes. Soviet Union sends in the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I like how they bring him in and Peggy's like, that's fucking Bucky Barnes. And they're like, oh, well,
that's fucked up.
Guess he's a Russian now.
They get the Kree lady from Captain Marvel.
Right.
I don't know.
She's played by God, what is that actor's name? I love her so much. Vamp for like 3 seconds.
Well, while you're looking at that, they also bring in King T'Chaka because they couldn't get T'Challa.
Yeah.
For obvious
also,
reasons.
I don't think he was. Oh, I guess he probably would have been born.
He probably would have been
like a little kid at that
point. But anyway, still looking.
Annette Bening.
Annette
Bening. Of course, I love Annette Bening so much. And she plays.
I don't know if they got her for this.
I don't know if it was I just mean the character.
Yeah. Because like whoever that voice actress was in the episode just sold the hell out of the park. She was having a great time.
She was Marvel, Mar-Vel, right? Yeah, right. Because she was also the Supreme Intelligence, but so yeah, there's her, and she's like,
okay,
I'm in the Kree Star Force, and they're like, what the fuck's that? And she's like,
I'll tell you later.
There are aliens, but you're not ready for that yet.
I made this plane with a cube in it, and it can go really fast.
Right. So they go to fight the kid. And
like the kid is in Coney Island. He's like, ooh, look at the Ferris wheels and the stuffed teddy bears. And
which is your first clue that he is like just kind of into kid things. Because like if he's there for an invasion, they probably would have trained him better to not get distracted by blinky lights, which he absolutely does. He's like, that is very shiny. I think I want to go hang out on that.
Oh, hey, it's a teddy bear. I want to snuggle it.
Or like a fox or panda or whatever. Yeah. But they all try to,
like let's beat him up and stuff him in a cage or whatever.
He's like, no.
I was like, nah,
don't do that.
Ow. And just when he's kicking all their asses and like, okay, we need to get out of here, he gets struck by fucking lightning, and who should come down but Thor?
Yeah.
Who says, by the way, this kid and his asshole father have blown up like everything.
Yeah.
And
honestly, how do you guys not know about this?
Yeah. Like, I'm here to take revenge in the name of Asgard and all the other fucking realms or whatever.
Yeah.
So they put Peter Quill in this containment lab where he's never.
It's where they put Loki in Avengers. Yeah.
It can't possibly break out. It's completely, impenetrable.
And then the writers are like, what would really fuck this story up? Puberty.
Yeah.
And so
who should fucking stroll in but Hope Van Dyne?
Yeah, little baby Hope Van Dyne.
Listening to her Walkman.
They're both the same age.
Jamming along, and she walks in and like pulls out the headphones and like holds it up to Peter Quill's cell.
Peter Quill sees her, and the birds are flying around his head, and his eyes get really big.
Ooga. Yeah. So Hope is like, okay, Peter, you seem to really want to go to Missouri for some fucking reason. Yeah. I don't know why anyone would want to go to Missouri, but you kind of do.
And the last time I checked, you didn't destroy a bunch of worlds and also New York.
Yes.
At least I haven't heard that you've done that, so I'm just going to let you go.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to open the door. Yeah. I'm going to, give you some money for a bus to Missouri. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Like just don't blow anything up. Just be cool and everything will be fine.
He's like, all right.
So as soon as she opens the door, alarms go off and he's fucking running away. And of course, all the not Avengers are now talking to Hope like, what the fuck did you just do?
Do you know how many millions of people he's killed?
Like, did you just not see him blowing the fuck up out of New York?
You're going to be executed for war crimes.
Yeah.
You, a 12-year-old girl, are going to be executed for war crimes.
She's like, it's fine. He's just a 12-year-old boy. He just wants to go see his mom. That's all.
Yeah.
Right about now is when Kurt Russell arrives.
Yep.
He's like, hey.
Oh yeah, because there's a scene where he's on the bus and because they have a telepathic link. And he's like, son, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna turn the music up. Fuck you, Dad.
Kurt Russell's like, why can't I talk to my son?
Yeah.
He must be dead. Let me go blow those fuckers up.
Yeah. So they have the whole thing with the seedling, which is from the second Guardians.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because Ronan was the villain in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is it's a little seed that's there on the planet waiting for
waiting for Ego to show up.
Yeah, and then it's gonna take over or whatever.
So now
it's a MacGuffin pretty much in the story.
So Kurt Russell shows up and a bunch of the not Avengers are like, all right, we gotta hold him off, and while the other string to our bow is Marvel, Ant-Man, and Bucky are gonna go talk to Peter and try to bring him in, except Bucky is actually there with a sniper rifle to kill him.
Yeah, because the Russians never double cross anyone.
Oh no, never.
Yeah.
So Howard's like, shit, Bucky's gonna kill that kid. I gotta convince him not to kill the kid. Hey, Bucky, don't kill the kid. Winter Soldier's like, don't call me Bucky. Howard's like, look, man, I don't know what you've been through. All I know is Steve Rogers would not kill that kid. And Bucky's like, son of a bitch, you mentioned Steve.
Yeah,
no,
I like how he's
not
like,
to get all self-reflective.
Yeah, I like how he's like, don't say Bucky. He's like, okay, Steve Rogers. Damn it.
You pressed
foiled again.
You pressed my other button.
Yeah.
So finally, Hank Pym is like, look, kid, your mother would really want us to go kick your dad's ass. So you want to go do that? You want to blow up the seed and do some cool shit?
He's like, I'm 13 years old. Yeah, I want to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So things are not going well for, Peggy leading a giant line of tanks and
Thor
and T'Chaka's trying to beat some shit up. And Kurt Russell has made a
dirt
million copies of himself made out of dust. Yeah. And it's not going well for anybody.
Yeah.
Until
Mount Russellmore comes out of the fucking ground.
So Hank and Peter fly in on an ant because that's what Hank does.
That's his thing.
He has one trick.
Yeah. That's his,
two tricks.
That's his brand.
He has ants and he has getting small.
Yeah.
So they fly into Mount Russellmore and Ego's like, son, and Peter's like, I'm gonna beat you up now, and Kurt's like, good fucking luck, and Peter's like, first I'm gonna eat this seed, and then I'm gonna shoot you with a Kamehameha blast.
Yep.
And Kurt Russell's like, damn it, why didn't I shoot you with a Kamehameha blast?
Yeah.
Could have had this cool beam clash. It would have been great. Oh no, I'm dead.
Don't have time for that. These episodes are only 35 minutes. And we move in a clip.
And then they all go to Hank's house and they have a celebratory party
with some beer, some light beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Goose is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they just give to Peter.
Yeah, Marvel just gives Peter.
It's like, you seem to be a perfectly well-adjusted little kid. Here's a cat.
And like, hey, let's be the fucking Avengers now. And everyone's like, yeah, great. Let's be the Avengers. And that's it.
Yeah. And then, so there's one tomorrow. There's one every day from now until the show ends. So next week we'll talk about the other ones.
Probably much faster than we did here.
Probably.
Because we don't have time for that shit.
Okay. So just a while ago, probably about half an hour ago, we finished Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon.
Oh boy!
If you're watching this as a video on our YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and tell us what you thought in the comments. And if you're here at the behest of Zack Snyder, or you think that you are here at the behest of Zack Snyder, I apologize in advance.
Do you?
Yeah, and it's like. Going into this, I said this last week.
So I just want to preface this in case anyone like me was living under a rock and didn't know what the fuck Rebel Moon was. Rebel Moon is like Zack Snyder's attempt to make a Star Wars,
which was not. That's not just for like. That's just not. What it literally is. Mm-hmm. I guess he literally pitched it to Lucasfilm, and they were like, no. And now we know why they said no, because it wouldn't have made a good Star Wars movie. Yeah. So we're going to do a spoiler-free thing, and then we're going to talk about spoilers.
Okay.
So if you've not seen it, when we get to the spoilers, you can fuck off.
So my first thought is this movie is pretty. Like if I was rating
in my notes, I have visually stunning moments and some really cool shots.
If I was rating it solely on visuals, it'd be like an 8.5 out of 10.
That has never been, with the exception of the Snyder cut. So I'm sorry, guys. Someone's gonna come to my house probably. That's Zack Snyder's wheelhouse. The 300 fucking sucker punch. Like the films that he does really interesting shots, and everything is looks kind of cool. Like.
I think my one criticism of the visuals is he uses too much slow-mo, especially during
that's also a Zack Snyder thing.
There's just way too much. Yeah. It breaks up the flow of action. It takes me out of it.
People ate that shit up in 300 too. It's like if you were to take a Zack Snyder movie and take out all the slow motion parts or just play them at regular speed, you get like an 80-minute movie. Because there's so much in there.
I wish we had gotten an 80-minute movie out of this.
I like a lot of the alien design. The actual aliens were kind of cool. The story is the literal definition of derivative.
Mediocre at best.
At very best.
Uninspired.
The things that it draws from are...
Like, we were calling out tropes as they happen.
Yeah. And we we are calling,
like, oh, this is the cantina scene,
right? It's just
like shot for shot recreation.
Yeah, and then the first thing, they should not have marketed this as the rejected Star Wars movie, because they leaned into that. Zack Snyder leaned into that. They're like, oh yeah, we were going to do the Star Wars thing.
It also raises a lot of expectations.
Yeah, because Zack Snyder, I'm sorry, you've made some cool movies, but you are no George fucking Lucas. Like, sorry.
It really comes through. Can I talk about costumes for a second?
Yeah.
So like almost everyone in this movie has like kind of space opera, space-ish, futuristic, costumes.
Sometimes steampunk looking.
Yeah, they look like costumes. Yeah. And then you have the Nazis. Spoilers, there's Nazis in this movie. And they just look like Nazis.
Yeah.
Like they have slightly different coloration. They don't have the skulls on their hats, but they're dressed like Nazis. Yeah. Like if you've seen Inglourious Bastards, you have seen what the bad guys look like in this movie.
More or less, yeah. The music's forgettable. Junkie XL, which I know that like Junkie XL is very proficient at what he does. He's a good musician and everything. I don't want to shit on him. I was raised on a different diet of film score. And this is the problem: is if you market this as your rejected Star Wars movie,
you gotta have some really fucking good music.
You set everything up to be compared to that, and Junkie XL is no John Williams. I could hum for you a bunch of themes from Star Wars. I've made this joke before. That one like lost tribe of humans that don't talk to the outside world and kill missionaries when they come there and try to. They know the Star Wars theme, right? Everyone in the world knows the Star Wars theme. I wouldn't be able to hum for you a single theme from this movie. I just saw it an hour ago.
Yeah. I walked out of Force Awakens with Rey's theme stuck in my head from the very first time we saw the character.
In the March of the Resistance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not tell you what a single second of music from this movie sounds like.
Yeah. I can tell you that it was moody.
Was fine.
There were some violin solos.
There was some cool violin stuff. Yeah. There was that weirdly active, well, we'll talk about it when we get there, but like
there's a men's chorus somewhere.
Yeah.
Right as you see the Nazis, I think. So I think the acting is fine. The actors were fine. They had a lot of heavy hitting actors.
They didn't use any of them very well.
That's the problem, is the dialogue isn't very good. And
also they just didn't give very much to the bigger name actors.
Yeah, right. Sir Anthony Hopkins is a droid that gets like 4 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
And
like you don't see him past like minute 20, 25 or so.
Right. Yeah. They kind of forget about him a little bit, don't they? They had,
well, that's another problem with this movie. Like you were telling me, it was originally a 4-hour movie that they cut up into 2 parts. Yeah. So naturally there's some plot lines that are getting set up in part 1 that are not going to get resolved until, that guy's probably coming back. Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy was in it. Ed Skrein, who's been in a ton of shit. Anthony Hopkins, as we've mentioned. There's the guy from the Haunting of Hill House shows. The guy, there was the guy that just died.
a few weeks ago that was in Gladiator and
this isn't the Brooklyn Nine-Nine guy, is it?
No, another guy. He just died like last week.
Yeah.
It was in Gladiator and John Wick.
That guy?
Yes. John. I'm very sorry. He deserves to have his name correctly pronounced, and I'm very sorry. I just don't know it off the top of my head. An amazing actor who was really beloved in everything he was in. When he died, people were really upset about it.
He gets like 2 scenes and 5 lines of dialogue.
Yeah. Now they do kind of set him up as a bigger player in the next movie, and they're not gonna have to recast him because I think they already shot the second movie. Which, let's also talk about the pretension of this a little bit. The latest I've checked, Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is very low.
22%, I believe.
The audience score is higher,
70 something.
And as everyone well knows, audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes are easily messed with in either way.
All you have to do is post on fucking reddit.com/r/Zack Snyder fanboys.
Yeah.
Say, hey, let's all inflate the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie, and they'll go do it.
So if you're, I just want to remind everyone, if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, the only thing that matters is the audience score, I ask you, did you think The Marvels was amazing? Because the Marvel's audience score is higher than Rebel Moon's, I think, or it's up there. So, The
Marvels was a good ass movie.
Yeah, but do you think that the people who love this film also love the Marvels?
No.
I don't think so either. So,
is it spoiler time?
Yeah, I think we let's talk about the story a little bit. We're gonna get into spoilers. So we don't get a crawl, right?
No, because Zack Snyder wanted to start this movie with yellow scrolling text against a field of stars, and he couldn't do that because someone told him that Disney's lawyers would come knocking on his door.
Disney lawyers are just sitting there waiting. Yeah. You're like, okay, when do we send?
So instead, we get this narration
from
about
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
the king took over a bunch of the universe, and things were going well in the mother world and all this, and then the entire royal family got assassinated, and there's this civil war. And
did they answer the question about the assassin?
I don't think so.
I think it's the main character.
Maybe.
I said that. I wasn't joking when we started. I'm pretty sure it was her.
Well, it's either her, or I think at some point they made a reference to like an alien killing them.
Oh, maybe.
I think I heard that.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't know.
Anyway.
Which, by the way, so this is Rebel Moon Part 1.
Yes.
Which, let's talk about just for a moment the presumption that you've made a movie so stunningly amazing that there will be a second movie.
This was funded by Netflix, right?
Yeah. And granted, they already did the second part.
Like, they already... if there's a way, I have a feeling like... If I was at Netflix, I would be trying to find a way to cancel this and get the tax right.
If you hadn't already gotten it. Yeah. Or doing a back roll on it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So we start off on Space Ireland, and there's a girl.
Space Ireland, which is basically Tatooine.
Yeah. Her name's Cora. She has a weird horse, and
Ocean of Plow, and she has this weird fascination with dirt and rocks.
And she finds a rock potato or something. And I think they do wheat there.
Yes.
Which I thought was like, if you're world building and you have all this weird spacey stuff and you have a weird fucking horse, and they're like, oh, what do you do? Like some weird microbial alien.
No, we grow
barley.
Wheat.
And they're like, no, it's American wheat.
Yeah.
It's literally from Earth. So yeah, she's very solitary, right? And like her squeeze or wannabe squeeze comes out and is like, hey, let's
fucking Den the Hunter wants to show you the massive not deer he killed.
Right. I thought you were gonna say cock.
That's the joke. Yeah.
So wait, is that guy's name not Den?
The hunter guy is Den. His name, I want to say, starts with a K or something.
I thought that in my notes I have him down as Den. Gunner.
That's him. So
which, by the way, okay. I don't only forget character names for movies I don't like. I forget them for movies I love.
Yes.
And I cannot remember what Ed Skrein's name is in this. So I just have General Jackass, because he looks like the guy from Jackass.
Yes.
So
So
there's a feast.
Yes, Korra goes into the feast, and everyone is still trying to shove her at Den.
It's a fuck feast.
Yes,
because the guy gets up and he's like clink and clink. Listen, once a year we all come together. We celebrate sex.
Yes,
because if we don't have it,
the gods won't give us a good harvest. Right. So get out there and fuck people.
So directly after this, and I will be going door to door to check. I want everyone in there, ankles above their heads, balls deep. Tonight only. Only in the missionary position because we're probably Christians.
Only in the missionary position solely for the purpose of procreation. With the lights off.
Yeah.
Because, you're not supposed to enjoy this. You're just supposed to fuck.
Unless you're the man, and then you can enjoy
it.
Yes. So later off, Korra goes home and there's an old guy she's hanging out with. And she's like,
hey, please. You were fucking Den.
Please. Well, he's also like, please go fuck that poor boy Den. Like... You heard him at the feast.
Yeah, like come on.
He came door to door, and I pretended to be you. I didn't enjoy doing that. The noises I had to make were ungodly. So if you just go and fuck Den, that'd be great. And she's like, I don't know. This is my thing. My life is too hard. I've got a sketchy past. Mm-hmm. I can't get emotional attachments to Den and his dick
to anybody
and his deer that he caught or whatever. And he talks about how like when he found her, I think, because he's not her dad, there
is so much telling and not showing. That's a huge this could have been a 6-hour movie and they still wouldn't have gone into all the backstory and things that they're just hinting at with this one line of dialogue.
There's so much exposition via dialogue. And this is a thing, having some formal training in writing. Everyone thinks it's okay to start off their movie with narration that builds the world. And the reason everyone thinks they can do this is because Tolkien did it. Mm-hmm. And because also Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings did it. So the thing is that only Tolkien could do it. Like that shit doesn't fly anymore. People get bored. You need to start off your story in the middle of a thing with your main character in a conflict, and you build the world around inference, right? You don't need to say, like, her skill alone could be evidence of her past, that she's out here trying to do wheat and shit, and but then she knows kung fu or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the fuck do you know kung fu? Or the fact that like she's kind of an outsider because she hasn't always lived there.
She's the only one with black hair on a planet full of brown haired people.
Of redheaded Irish people.
Yeah.
So like there is tons and tons of telling and not showing, which is a huge sin to me in writing and in a film. So they have a like early, like the next day they're doing their farming and stuff. Did she fuck Den?
I don't think so.
Because the girl's like, oh yeah, I heard that there was sound coming from his house or whatever. And either she's like, oh yeah, that's my adopted dad, or like she did, because she doesn't answer the question, right?
What we're supposed to take from that is that like Den wanted to fuck her but couldn't find her because like she went home early.
He took another girl home.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Or he made the noises.
I wouldn't put anything past him.
Yeah. So they're out there hanging out, doing their work.
They're sowing seed in the field, and they look up and, oh my God, there's a fucking Imperial dreadnought.
Big ship. And
Korra runs off and bashes the giant bell with a hammer. And
lots of intensity. Oh my God, they're here. What's the next scene?
A meeting.
A meeting about what to do about it. And not like... It's like, oh my God, wait, like you there for a second and a cool shot with her hammering away.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to build up like the anxiety.
It reminds me a little bit of Andor, of the fucking clock tower guy.
Yeah.
Hitting.
And you're like, you're building up that anticipation and you got some pacing going and then you have a fucking meeting.
We're like,
what the fuck?
Do we give them our harvest?
And it's about grain.
Yeah!
It's a meeting about grain.
It's all they have, so of course it's all they meet about.
It's like, I get it. It's everything. They drink grain milk. Like everything about them is grain. I totally get it. But like, as a filmmaker, it's like you like maybe.
This is the equivalent of George Lucas making episode 1 be about a trade dispute.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah. So. They argue about what to do with the so that like the thing is they're like, okay, so when they like you, handsome man Gunner, have been selling our excess to the resistance, and they're gonna find out about that and they're gonna be real fucking pissed. So, and he's like, but we could just sell to them and they'll probably give us a lot of money for it. And he's like, yeah, but we're traditional and we only do missionary. So like, no. And he's like, well, that's a little closed-minded, don't you think? And he's like, yes.
Fuck.
Next. And so
finally they like, okay, we're just not going to tell them anything. We're just going to try to get rid of them as quick as we can.
We'll wing it. You know what? Well, when they get here, we'll figure out what to do. I'm the brave leader, the guy who's played by Peter Sarsgaard, not related to
Stellan Skarsgård.
Right, not that family, a different Norwegian sounding name.
So the Nazis land, they walk off. They
are literally Nazi. Space Russia Nazis.
Yes.
They've got the Russian red piping and shit and the fucking SS, Nazi caps.
And they have some guys in red robes and like these weird masks for some reason.
And books. And like one guy's holding a picture. He's like, do you like what I drew?
It really feels like at some point Zack Snyder watched Dune and saw the Bene Gesserit. It's like, I want them. I want them in my movie.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's when I during our spoiler free when I said that this like really lazily derives from so many things. There's like obviously Star Wars, but lots of Dune, Magnificent Seven, Seven Samurai, like all of these like hodgepodge random things that he's like, oh, I bet all this shit together. And it's like, no, what you've done is you're like, I'm going to make a stew. So let's shovel some dog shit in there, like a little bit of dog shit, and then a ton of salt and like some meat and cabbage. Cause fucking who doesn't
everyone loves
cabbage. And let's put some chocolate in there. I love birthday cake. Let's throw a fucking birthday cake in there. Here's a bottle of ranch dressing. It's like all that shit like maybe you like all those things separately, maybe not the dog shit so much, but they don't necessarily all go together. And and look, you can argue about the connections of Seven Samurai to Star Wars, Magnificent Seven or Star Wars, or the inspiration that Dune had on George Lucas to make Star Wars. But like he did it better.
Yeah.
And you're not George Lucas. Like you can't get away with that shit because the world was a different place when George Lucas made Star Wars because they didn't have Star Wars. And George Lucas had the one thing everyone needed then. We didn't need this bullshit. Like this is what it is, right?
Yeah. So space Hans Landa from fucking
Christoph Waltz's character.
From Inglourious Basterds comes down and he's like, hey, I it's so great to see you, man I've never met before. The king sends his warm regards. Give me a hug.
Yeah, he does the exact same thing in Inglourious Basterds, where he has a real polite, genial conversation with someone. And the entire time he's exuding danger.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, okay, so you didn't watch all of Inglourious Basterds. You watched the first 10 minutes and you're like, I want this in my movie. Yes. There goes the ranch dressing, right? It's just like, why?
So they go walking up. The village father is like, hey, let's have some beer and talk about whatever the fuck you're here for.
Yeah.
So as they're walking along, fucking Nazi guy's like, I want your harvest. And village leader's like, maybe we don't really give it out because like we only have enough for ourselves, but let's go have that beer.
Yeah. So
they get up to the longhouse and Nazi guy's like, okay, seriously, give me the harvest. And village guy's like, well, it's not really my area of expertise. Let's ask Gunnar. Gunner's like, yeah, we have some food.
We have plenty.
Yeah, we got we've saved away for entire seasons. And you want some food? Have some food.
There's like the one guy in the background that's like, God damn it.
And the Nazi guy's like, aha.
Yeah.
I see we have a contradiction here.
Yeah. So
you have food or don't you?
So you said a thing. And then your friend said that the thing you just said was incorrect. And you knowingly said it incorrectly.
So one of you is lying to me.
What do we call that? That's a lie. And I don't like lying. Okay.
And Gunnar and Sindri, I think his name is, are both trying to figure out like
Sindri, literally the only thing I could think about the entire time, every time they said his name was the dwarf from God of War Ragnarok.
Okay. So while they're trying to figure this out, the Nazi kind of walks over to one of his goons who holds up this stick that's in the shape of a femur.
Bring me my stick.
He takes the stick. He like walks up to Gunnar and Sindri's like, no, please, it's okay. You don't need to do anything. And the Nazi guy's like, I think I do need to do something. And he spins around and he fucking whacks Sindri in the head.
The dude right in the head. Yep. One shot. He was probably already dead.
Breaks his skull. He falls over.
Yeah.
So the village is not exactly happy about this, as you might imagine. And Nazi guy turns around to Gunner and says, all right, how much food you got? And Gunner's like, I don't fucking know. 10,000 bushels?
We have 10. He's like, okay.
We have 10.
I want 12. But we have 10. He's like, well,
I want 12.
You better have 12 next time.
Figure it out.
Yep. And he's like, we'll starve to death. And he's like, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
By the way, I'm going to leave a bunch of my soldiers here.
Yeah. And excuse me while I twirl my mustache.
Yes. I'm going to leave a bunch of my soldiers here. They're just going to make sure, you do your thing. And I'm going to go do my thing. Yeah. See ya.
Yeah, I'm not going to stay and make sure everything goes off well and everything. Yeah. A common trope in action in stories.
So we have.
Let me pull my notes up and make sure we're
somewhat on track.
Christoph Waltz scene from Inglourious Bastards, Nazi guys, mustache twirling soldiers. This is where we are. Yep.
So the soldiers are
and the Hopkins bot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they open a box and it's Anthony Hopkins, except he's C-3PO.
Yeah. The droid design's cool.
Yeah.
I think he looks neat. And his whole deal is that he was a member of the King's Guard.
Mm-hmm.
These
robots that guarded the
crazy
king.
Good fighters and shit. But
except when the king died, they all said, I'm not going to fight anymore.
Yeah, done fighting. Mm-hmm. Something probably to do with their programming. I don't know. But
and one of these soldiers is a bigger asshole than the others. And he's like, hey, I'm going to fuck with that robot. He shoots him a couple times.
Yeah, just to prove that he can't fight back. Now, here's the thing. You could have made the whole movie about this one droid, and it would have been a better movie.
Yeah. Because you can say that about so many things in this movie.
Right. Well, I have a moment about this later on. I think we both agreed on this. But it's like, they're like, oh, yeah, he's just for no reason, he stopped fighting. It's like, show me that movie.
Yeah.
That's a better movie than this. And then you make your main character, Sir Anthony Hopkins, everyone fucking wins.
This is one of the fundamental problems with the writing of this movie is that it's trying to be a stew of just chucking everything in the pot and seeing what works. When if they took any one of those ingredients and just worked on it more, it could have been a good movie.
Yeah. They do the Boston Dynamics thing where like they kick the robot a few times and they're like, see, he just stumbles and he gets back up.
Yeah.
And he stumbles and he gets back up and he's like, assholes.
And there's like one soldier who isn't a complete asshole and he's
the hot one.
Yeah.
Yeah, my partner.
I guess.
No, my partner and I and you watched this, and he came on screen, and we looked at each other like, "Oh yeah." Which usually in these kinds of movies, that's like the first guy that dies, like the pretty guy.
Yeah,
but he doesn't.
So he's like, "Hey, you shouldn't beat up that robot." And asshole's like, "I should beat you up." And their commander comes out, and is like, "Hey, I wouldn't really be opposed to you two murdering each other right now, but we got all this shit we need to get into a house.
Paperwork.
So yeah, can you guys just kick those guys out of that house so we can live there now? Yeah. Thanks. Bye."
Yeah. And then do they have the conversation? No. They have there's a call that there's a lot of this follows the typical hero's journey where you have the reluctant hero who gets a call to action. They refuse the call to action. Something happens. They accept the call to action. Yeah. They go on a journey, right? This movie.
Yes. So Water Girl comes down. That's her job in the village. She's the water girl. She walks by. The soldier's like, "Hey, give us some fucking water." And she's like, "Okay, here, have some water.
It's free." You didn't
hey, you're fucking pretty. She's like, "Get away from me. You're gross." So like the robot is down at the stream cleaning himself off because you can just do that.
He takes a little bath.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of sweet. It's like one of the genuinely beautiful moments of this movie.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple where he does his little bath and he has this conversation and
Water Girl comes down and is like, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yes, I used to serve the king and with all my other robots and things were pretty good. And you remind me of the princess who is beautiful beyond belief and blah, blah, blah."
And cool. I liked her.
There's a little bit of exposition there.
And she's like,
that's cool.
Have a daisy hat.
Have a daisy crown.
Yeah. And he's like, "This is very pretty."
And he just wears that for a while.
Yeah, he's like, "Actually, I'm going to expand my love for headgear by the end of this movie." Which, by the way, this is the last time you see him until one scene at the end.
Yes.
No, that's not true. He has a big moment in a minute, and then that's the last time you see him. So, okay. Now, the soldiers they've left behind are the most two-dimensional, mustache-twirling bad guys I've ever seen. And it's just like, this is so generic.
I want to note every single thing the bad guys do is seemingly purpose designed to make people want to be rebels.
Right. So there's this scene where they're hanging out at their new house that they've taken over.
Like, hey, the water girl's there. She's pretty.
And they're like, you know what the most predictable thing would be? Let's rape this girl. Because of course that's what they do. Because it's like, what would be the most generic mustache twirly bad guy thing to do?
What can we do to show that we are seriously bad guys? Yeah. Completely irredeemable.
Yeah. And literally nothing else to our personality, just this one thing. Let's rape possibly an underage girl. And so they try to.
While this is happening, Korra is like, okay, look, these dumbass villagers have decided that if they can just, harvest enough grain, they'll be indispensable to the bad guys and the Nazis won't want to kill them. And it's going to end terribly for them. So I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. This is the first call to action that's refused. That's like, that's a part of the formula. So
while she's saddling up her weird space horse, she hears Water Girl screaming about how she's going to be raped. And Korra's like, well, fuck, I can't exactly just let this happen.
Yeah.
So she shows up with her axe and she's like, hey, stop it.
Only missionary here. There will be no raping.
And the soldiers are like, okay, well, let's just rape her too.
Yeah.
And Korra's like, that is the wrong choice, sir. And there's a fight scene where she proceeds to kick the shit out of all of them.
Now, except for the slow motion parts, I applaud them not doing the MCU thing.
Yeah.
Where they cut the shit out of everything. There are some like weird, awkward cuts, but for the most part, the choreography is pretty good.
Yeah.
And, it's you have a good sense of geography of wherever. I mean, it only happens in one room, but, it's not like you go and watch like a Marvel fight and it's like someone throws someone over their shoulder and it's cut like 6 times from like, it's like, this angle, this angle, this angle. So I'm glad that they didn't do that.
If it weren't for the slow motion, this would actually be a pretty decent fight scene.
Yeah.
Because like there's some pretty cool moves. She does some cool parries. She uses like an axe and a knife and like 2 different guns and like the one soldier is not an asshole is like, hey, maybe I should help her. And like towards the end, the fucking droid comes in. And like the commander of the soldiers like has the water girl. He has a gun to her head.
He has no idea what's going on. He walks in and is like, what?
And the droid is like, hey. He's like, hey, droid, fucking shoot Korra.
Kill everybody, yeah.
And droid is like, picks up the gun and he just kind of shoots the commander right in the head. He falls over.
It looked so much like an accident that I wasn't sure that he was the one that did it.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was not totally clear to me on first seeing it, but the context, I think, is what made me think that it was the droid.
Maybe he just kind of tricked himself into, he's like, oh no, I did it on accident.
Yeah.
But my finger accidentally, it happened to be pointed at him.
The clumsy bad trigger discipline could happen to anybody.
Yeah. Sorry.
By the way, this is the last time we see either Anthony Hopkins bot or the good soldier.
Yeah.
For the rest of the movie.
Yeah, they just disappear. Yeah.
Yeah. They fall into a plot hole.
So this is where the second call to action to the hero happens.
Korra's like, well, fuck.
Looks like we're fighting.
That's all we can do at this point, because the Nazis are going to come back and find out we killed all their guys and they're just going to kill everyone.
Yes.
So fucking Gunner.
Thus starts the most generic quest format in every action adventure movie ever, which is we got to go do this thing and get this person, go and do this thing, get this person, go and do this and get this person.
Well, we don't even get to that point yet, because she's like, okay, we need to go find an army and we need to find a commander. So Gunner, you talk to the rebels. You're going to fucking come with me. You're going to tell me where to find the rebels. And Gunner's like, all right, cool.
Well, she wants to go get General Titus.
Yes.
And he wants to go get his resistance buddies. And I guess them doing both of those things will
because they have a commander and an army and everything will be great.
Yeah.
So they ride their horses.
They have a camping scene on the volume. Yep. it is like it looks like a scene from The Mandalorian. It's like I think they might have actually filmed it at the literal volume.
Yeah. So they're unpacking to camp and Gunner's like, hey, Korra, tell me your backstory. And Korra's like, okay, let me tell you my backstory.
Korra's like, have you ever seen Avengers Infinity War? My entire story is the Thanos Gamora story. Have you seen that movie? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Because it's literally that.
Thanos was named Belisarius.
Yeah. And he came to her world, killed all the people.
Killed all my family.
Adopted her.
Picked me up. Fucking taught me how to do Imperial Nazi shit. At one point, I had a boyfriend who died in battle.
I don't think that happens to Gamora, but yeah. It's like the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she, the point of it is she becomes a soldier, she does bad things, and then
now she's here.
Yeah, at some point something happens, which I think is she killed the king.
She's very vague about it.
Yeah.
So they get to Mos Eisley. It's not Mos Eisley, but it's Mos Eisley.
It's certainly a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah. So they're walking up on a bar, and some bounty hunters are dragging a guy outside.
Chekhov's fucking bounty hunters, and I knew the second I was like, "This is gonna come back." Like,
and Gunner's like, "Hey, wait a second, that's my guy who knows where the resistance is. We kind of gotta talk to him." Cora's like, "No,
shittiest luck in the world.
We'll find another guy. It's fine."
So she's like, you ready for a cantina scene? And he's like, fuck yeah, I am. And they walk. And what happens next is more or less beat for beat what happens in Star Wars Episode 4, the cantina scene.
The only difference is that, like, if the weird alien guy had wanted to molest Luke,
gets back up and is like, let's go again.
Yeah.
Well,
because the pig guy grabs his dick.
I have that where I would say, dude straight up grabs Den's dick because I thought his name was Den.
Yeah.
Den's dick. Gunner's
grabs Gunner's dick and is like, "Hey, big boy, you'll be begging me for more after this." Wink.
Yeah, he's like, "Do you do missionary? Because I only do missionary." They go in there. There's a little conflict, and he's like, get your hand off my dick, and he's like, well, I've got the death sentence in 12 systems, and he's like, can you get your hand off my dick? And he's like, well, I don't like you, and he's like, well, can you take your hand off my dick? He's like, well, he doesn't like you either.
And then Cora's like, well, I don't like you either. So let me slam you on the bar and almost kill you with your knife.
And so, it knocks him over and he scuttles away. And enter a cool bug thing, which this is like one of the creature designs I really liked, which is like
the bartender, weird, you mean?
No. The bug.
The bug guy. Yeah.
He
has its tentacles up around some dude's neck, and he's doing the Independence Day thing.
Yeah. It's like, and it looked kind of cool, and it was like really gross. Yeah. And I was like, all right, this is actually kind of neat. I like how when the second fight breaks out, the bug just scuttles under the table. He's like, fuck this guy. And he like throws him away and like runs away. Yeah. Turns out Titus is on Pollux, and they're like, we need a ship. Too bad there isn't a fucking pilot.
If only there was a morally ambiguous Han Solo analog.
Scruffy guy.
Scruffy looking, possibly with a heart of gold.
Yeah. With a piece of shit ship that's used for cargo hauling. And this guy comes in, he's like,
not yet, because Pig Guy comes back with two buddies.
Right.
And they're like, hey, we're gonna fucking kill you now because no one fucking slams me on a bar and prevents me from grabbing men.
Yeah, right.
So fight breaks out and Cora kills them all.
Yeah.
They're like, shit, we gotta go now. And then who should arrive but this pilot ex machina?
Yeah.
Who's like, hey, I saw the way you killed those guys. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You guys need to go somewhere? Because I got a ship. I can take you.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. It's the dude from Sons of Anarchy, by the way, Charles Hunman, who apparently did an interview this last week about how he had auditioned for Anakin Skywalker in episode 2.
Okay.
And made it far enough to have a conversation with George Lucas, like a sit down with him, and apparently got up and left the meeting for some reason or whatever. And it's like they really leaned into this was a Star Wars, but it's better. And it's like, you shouldn't have done that because this is not Star Wars.
It's not better.
Like, you can't just do What If Star Wars, but with Hooker and Blow and like think that everyone's going to fucking love it. Yeah. It's just like, that's not how it works. So yeah, he's like, I'll take it. I've got.
Yeah. Fucking get on the boat. Let's go.
Yeah. So
by the way, I know some friends. Like, I know you're trying to go to Pollux to pick up General Titus, but you want to do some side quests first?
Yeah, Have you ever played
Have you ever played Mass Effect 2? Because we're gonna do Mass Effect 2 right now.
So yeah, they go off to find some more warriors. There's a really neat meteor transition that I was actually like,
that was good.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, this is where fucking Nazi and his fucking squid girlfriend.
So I will say that the transition thing, I almost expected a star wipe.
Yes.
Right. Or like an iris wipe or something like in Star Wars, but they just did a meteor like a meteor flies in front of them and it's like, oh, it's a different place.
And now it's the fucking dreadnought.
It's like, that's actually kind of cool.
So like this low-ranking Nazi walks into head Nazi's office where he's like jamming a hookah into his lung and getting high off it.
In my notes, I have General Jackass and his squid girlfriend do space heroin.
Yes.
Pretty much the whole scene.
Like he gets this report from this junior officer. He gets up and walks across the room, and like you can see these tentacles kind of writhing in the background, and then they start like wrapping around him, and it's
and he doesn't look immediately alarmed,
and he's like naked.
Yeah.
So like,
and his first reaction isn't it's oh, wait a second. It's like, Jesus Christ,
I'm doing my job. Hold on.
You're not supposed to go and watch The Boys and think, oh, that's a good fucking idea, right? Squids aren't for fucking. Unless
you're a squid.
Unless it's sentient and it has consent.
Yes.
And then, in which case, put it up his butt. Sure. Whatever the fuck you guys do, that's fine.
All right. So they go to Jakku. It's not Jakku, but it's Jakku.
It's Jakku, yeah.
They find this guy who's enslaved and shirtless. Only one of those is against his will, I think.
He looks like the kind of guy that never wears a shirt anyway.
Yes.
Like exactly. The kind of guy, December, it's snowing, he's wearing a pair of shorts, and that's it.
I knew a guy in high school who wore sandals all year long.
Yeah.
Like just flippy floppies all the time.
It's either entirely shirtless or just a vest.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
he probably also plays guitar.
Probably ukulele.
Yeah.
Ukulele.
Oh, God.
So the slaver is like, hey, you can't afford what it'll cost to free him, but I do like betting.
They make this slaver real gross.
Yeah.
And then a few seconds in, I'm like, oh my God, it's Watto.
He's wearing a fucking mesh wife beater.
They're doing a Watto.
Yeah.
And it's literally a Watto where he's like, so let's do a little thing. If
here's my chance cube. Let's fucking roll it.
If he can do the real dangerous thing that no human should be able to do.
If he can ride the hippogriff that I have in my backyard for some reason, then he goes free. Right. But if he can't, then all three of you are now my slaves.
Then I get your ship. And all of you.
Yes.
But which is almost exactly the deal that Watto has in episode 1.
And Korra's like talking to shirtless guy, like, can you actually do this? Like, can you ride the hippogriff? And shirtless guy's like, absolutely, I can ride that hippogriff. Yeah. So he gets in there.
He's like, have you seen Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban?
Yeah. It's really easy. All you have to do, you just have to kneel down. He kneels down. Yeah. I am not shitting you. Yeah. He kneels before the hippogriff.
Yeah.
The hippogriff is like, okay, maybe this is okay. And he like talks to it in this alien language.
Yeah. Says some nice words.
Mm-hmm. He hops up on it, swings this thing around its beak, and they fly off. And like the hippogriff tries to knock him off, and he like does this running jump onto it in the most obnoxious slow motion I can possibly. I can't describe to you how much I was like, holy shit, we get it. He's jumping. Can we go to the next shot?
Yeah, which is too bad because the rest of it looks good.
Yeah,
like the hippogriff looks. It doesn't look too crazy cheap or anything. Mm-hmm. The flight through the thing looks kind of like everything looks really neat and everything. Like the VFX artist did a really good job on it. And there's
this is the only part of the movie where I can almost remember what the music sounds like.
I can.
Now, not because it was like particularly good, just because like it was noteworthy and like different from all the rest of it.
And in fact, when we were watching it, John started whistling the theme from How to Train Your Dragon. Because like that would be better here, I think.
Yeah.
So Squid Girlfriend, Space Heroine. Tarek is this guy's name, by the way.
Tarek, yeah. So they get back. Tarek is free.
Yeah, hold on a second. Seen Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon scene. Mm-hmm. That's what we just did. Hippogriff kills slave dude.
Yeah. So he gets
tell us about Hippogriff kills
slave dude. Is like, congratulations, you're free. Here's a shirt. Tarek is like, great. Let me put this on in the sluttiest way possible so that you can still see my abs and the bottoms of my pecs.
Yeah, and also I'll be taking this off again later.
Yes. So as they're walking to the ship, like Tarek stops and looks back, and slave owner's like walking in, trying to mount up the hippogriff. Hippogriff's like, hell no, slams into the ground, rips his guts out, and Tarek's like, hell yeah.
I like how there's this moment where the hippogriff's like, I'm going to kill this asshole. And he's like, yeah, do that.
All right. So
I have expected them to be like, okay, you can come with us. And Tarek just be the dude, the shirtless dude on a hippogriff. Because why the fuck not?
Sure.
Why would you just have a shirtless dude on a hippogriff in this movie, you know?
So next side quest, they go to this mining world.
Cobalt mining planet, yeah.
Where they find Nemesis, the fucking samurai.
I called her Samurai Hat the whole time.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
I think her name by the end I remembered it's like Nemesis.
Yes,
or something.
Nemesis.
Yeah.
So she's like walking around. Okay, what the fuck do you want? Like,
she does have a cool ass hat.
Yes.
Though. Yeah.
they're like, we represent this village. We're trying to beat up the Nazis. Will you come with us? And she's like, hang on, I gotta do something first.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost positive she's the woman that she's in Invasion, I think. But isn't she also in Shang-Chi?
Maybe.
No, I don't think she is the person I'm thinking of.
Well, you keep looking. So she goes walking around through the depths of the mine while the others are following her, and she's like, hey, there's a spider lady. I gotta kill you.
She's in Sense8. That's what I remember. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
So Spider Lady has kidnapped a child because she's real sad that she can't have viable children. So she's going to just make all the other mothers sad. And Nemesis is like, I know a mother's sorrow, but seriously, you shouldn't do that. I'm going to have to kill you now. And they have this fight scene where like Nemesis, like she has like robot arms or something. And like at one point she says, okay, I'm done fucking around. And like her swords get red and glow.
Yeah. Let me pull my notes. Cause I have, let's see. Go to recruit lady with cool hat and sword. Mm-hmm. Spider lady is mad and steals children.
Yeah.
Samurai hat fights spider, rescues girl. Lightsaber reveal.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just start with that? Why would you be like, I'm going to use the lesser version of my weapon, and when that fails, I'll use the better version? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you just be like, I have a lightsaber, motherfuckers? I do not like the lightsaber effect in this.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I get like it's supposed to be lightsaber-esque.
It's fine. It's legally distinct.
I was literally about to say, I think that's my problem with it. Is they're like, how do we make this a lightsaber and not have lawyers?
Yeah,
knocking on our door. I think it's weird. It looks strange, and I don't enjoy it. There have been other properties that have done lightsaber-ish weapons that are really cool. I think, was it Project Adam? What was that movie with? Yeah, it's Deadpool and that kid. The Adam Project.
Okay. I still don't know what you're talking about.
It's a movie with Walker Scobell and Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
It came out during the pandemic, I think, maybe.
Okay.
It's a neat little. It's not amazing, but it's a neat little science fiction thing. Mm-hmm. Timey-wimey things, and they have a weapon that's like a light. In fact, one of the characters is like, "Oh my god, it's a lightsaber," and he's like, "No, it's." Yes, it is, and it's cool. Yeah. Like it can do more than one thing, which is probably better, but it's more or less a lightsaber.
So they recruit Samurai Lady and they go back to the ship and Gunner's like, hey, Cora, can you tell me more of your backstory? And Cora's like, absolutely, I can tell you more of my backstory.
Did someone order some more exposition?
Expositional flashback number 2.
Because I have in my notes, I have often X planet, but first more exposition flashback. Mm-hmm. So it turns out Cora was promoted as a bodyguard. She got real good at being an asshole Nazi. Mm-hmm. She gets promoted to bodyguard of the princess who has the Force. Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, she has some special powers.
Like her fucking hunting dog brings a dead bird to her. Her princess brings it back to life, and there you go.
Right, and it's like, okay, so she has the Force.
Yeah.
So they get to a gladiator arena on Pollux,
which is literally just gladiator.
It's Rome.
Yeah.
The movie Gladiator, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, which is funny because that actor was in Gladiator. The actor who plays General Titus was in Gladiator.
Of course. Yeah. Zack Snyder is a fucking hack.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I should say something about this. I think Zack Snyder is fine. He is not the most talented filmmaker, but he's done stuff that I like. 300 is kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
I liked Man of Steel.
Okay.
Obviously, Justice League was a hot mess, regardless of who cut it. Mm-hmm. I think I said last week that Jesus Christ could have come down on a white horse and cut it himself.
and could not have saved that movie.
There are a handful of other movies that he's done that are like solid, fun experiences. He's like if Michael Bay didn't have a bunch of casual racism and casual pedophilia in like underage sex jokes in his movies, and without gratuitous explosions and some like kind of cool filmmaking ideas
and way too much slow-mo.
Yeah, but like he's done shit that I'm like that I would consider myself a fan of this. Sure, yeah. He did a Las Vegas zombie movie that I was actually really into.
Yeah.
I don't have a huge problem with Zack Snyder. I have a huge problem with this movie, but Zack Snyder, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're like, you're trying to do your thing.
Yeah.
I do not, Chris, for the life of me, God is my witness, do not understand people who are like all in on Zack Snyder. And it's this weird thing where like the whole release the Snyder cut thing like gained traction. You could tell that they were like, execs were like, we can make money off of this. Your hashtags, you didn't convince the studios to do anything they didn't want to do. You drummed up enough attention where they're like, we can now farm money out of this. And that's what happened.
We can release the same movie twice and get a shit ton of money for it.
And Zack Snyder, I know there had to have been a conversation where Zack Snyder's like, the movie isn't as good as they think it is. The cut isn't as good as they think it is. And they're like, well, go do some reshoots and we'll make it work. Yeah. And he's like, all right, well, okay.
Oh, okay.
And then it got here and it was bad. But they were like, I've hung my entire identity on this. Like hashtag release the Snyder cut is in my bio.
We're all in on this. So I gotta keep being all in on it.
Yeah. And it's like, it wasn't good.
Which
Zack Snyder has good stuff, but that just wasn't one of them.
Public service announcement. If you are all in on something, it is okay to admit you made a mistake.
Yeah.
It is like, that is growth. That is humans becoming better than we used to be.
Yeah.
It is okay to admit you were wrong.
Yeah. Balls deep in Star Wars. What did I say when Rise of Skywalker came out? This is dog shit.
It's not very good.
I hate this.
Anyway,
so they get to
Titus is fucking passed out in an alley, and they like wash him off.
Some dude's like pissing on him or something. Yeah.
Cora's like, hey, gotta be a fucking general, guys. Like, don't call me general.
He's like, no, I'm gonna. Even though I'm one of the world's most celebrated actors, and I will be terribly misused in this film, I'm going to do the absolute bare minimum. Typical reluctant fighter drunk.
I got all my men killed. I'm just a drunk here. Fucking go away and let me die in peace. And Cora's like, no, you're gonna fucking get up and you're gonna die where I tell you to die.
You get your 2-dimensional ass off that fucking floor. I'm gonna spray you with a hose. He was like, all right.
He's like, fine, I'll go do things.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at the Temple of Doom, they meet up with the bounty hunters.
Yes.
Chekhov's bounty hunters.
The bounty hunters who brought the rebel information guy.
Who, though, one thing that one of the details I liked about this movie was their little scorpion chair thing that just like unfolds and grabs the guy. I was like, that's a neat idea.
Yeah. And fucking Admiral McNazi is like, okay, so you know where to find the rebels, so fucking tell me where to find the rebels.
He's like, your mom's house. And he's like, I didn't check that place. Okay.
Do you have a backup option? He's like, yeah, it's fucking the planet of King Leviticus. Just go over there and fucking ask Levitica, I'm sorry.
Legally distinct from Leviticus.
And fucking Admiral McNazi is like, oh yes, thank you. I'm not going to execute you with a fucking nail through the spine.
The thing that you used to like put down cattle, but we're gonna do it through the back, and you're gonna have a little display so everyone knows what's happening. It's like, this is going to go into his spine.
Which the fucking Harrison Ford Blade Runner narration. Oh yeah. Like that little display is the visual form of Harrison Ford's Blade Runner narration.
You know what this reminded me of? This like little. So, are you a big James Bond fan?
A little bit.
There's one of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond films. The World Is Not Enough.
Okay.
James Bond is strapped to an old, archaic, ancient torture device, which is a chair. And I'm going to bring my mic with me. I didn't practice this choreography, so excuse me. They strap the head back, and there's a thing, and there's a wheel in the back, and there's a wheel in the back. It's not a spike; it's blunt.
Oh, okay.
And there's a wheel in the back, and when you crank it, it pushes it in, but your head's strapped there, and eventually it breaks your neck.
Yeah,
it's like that.
Okay,
it's literally that.
Yeah.
Just you put a gun in, and there's an LCD screen. It's like, this person will die.
It's like,
that's what I was thinking the entire time was James Bond, The World's Not Enough.
It's fucking set course for King Levitica.
Yeah.
But who gets there first but our heroes, who are like,
the resistance guys.
Yeah. So
do they have that kick-ass resistance theme from Star Wars or anything close? No. I can't tell you what their theme sounds. I don't think they have a theme.
I don't think so, no. Yeah. So like Korra is talking to King Levitica, and Levitica's like, yeah, the fucking rebels will be right down to see you. And the fucking rebels come right down. And it's the two blood axe siblings, the sister and the brother.
Do you think they've done the Targaryen thing?
I hope not.
They seem pretty close, Chris.
It'd be really fucking weird.
They seem real close.
Well, there's also that one woman who seems really fucking close to the brother, so I don't even know what's going on there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they have a polycule. Yeah. I don't know.
Good for them.
Anyway, so the good guy's like, hey, you guys gotta help us or all our farmers are gonna die. And the Black sister is like, yeah, we bought your grain once, but that doesn't make us friends. So go on home and die in the mud.
Yeah, they're feeding us now. So
the brother is like, well, hold on a second. Maybe we should, at least listen to what they got going on. And he turns to his people and he's like, hey, who wants to fucking die for some farmers with me?
And they're like, shit.
And like 12 people come forward and he's like, yeah, okay, cool.
I mean, they're farmers. We won't die hungry.
Nah. And the sister's like, are you sure you want to do this? And the brother's like, yeah, no, it's fine. Yep. I got this.
And she's like, okay, well, bye.
All right, fine. Well, I'm going to go somewhere else because if they could find King Levitica, anyone could find Levitica. Yep. So... Now, based on what happens later in the movie, we know that this character is going to be back. Yes.
So Kai is like, let's stop the entire story. Yep. Let's stop the pacing of the entire story. Have this weird conversation.
Yes.
About how you might not have known this, but in my past 20 hours ago, I was a space trucker. And I delivered goods and services to people on other planets. And I have cargo in my ship right now that needs to go to a planet. And I know we've got this rebellion brewing. It's the most important thing anyone has ever.
Just let me drop this off. It'll be the last side quest. Then we'll go back to planet Velt and set up the fucking resistance.
So weird time to be bringing this up. This is a little fishy. And he's like, don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Also, I used to not believe honor was real, and I used to be a huge piece of shit, and I still am. And so they go to this planet, right?
And it's like, okay, just fucking bring the crates out, put them behind that bridge, and we're good.
And of course, he betrays them.
Yes, the crates turn into the spider chair things. It grabs our heroes.
Yeah, because like the dockmaster was the bounty hunter, and shit, and she notices it like a little too late and everything.
And the Nazis are there, and their ship like blows up the rebel fighters, and fucking Dr. McNazi comes out and says, ha ha ha.
He's kind of wearing a sharp. He's got some drip going.
Okay.
He's like, it's like the suit without the jacket, right? He's not wearing the fucking Nazi hat or anything. It's just like you're dressed pretty cleanly. I like that his suspenders aren't like normal suspenders, are like one on each side, but his like clip on the back like suspenders, but go around his shoulder like a bandolier.
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay,
I'd probably wear that. It looks pretty neat.
So he's like, yes, I recognize all of you. Fucking shirtless guy. You're the prince of that world where we killed everybody.
Hold on. Sorry. Before this, and this barely matters, but the Nazis show up to Levitica and blow everything up. Yeah.
And
they all died.
And Captain McNazi gets to use his favorite stick on Levitica one more time.
Right.
Anyway, so Captain McNazi is now like, yes, you're shirtless guy. You're the prince of that planet. And fucking...
Oh, yeah. He's like, let me introduce all these characters and do some really
Let me give you all the backstory to them. Fucking shirtless prince finds hippogriffs. Like, why not make a movie about him? Or samurai lady who fucking
lost her kids
to the empire and then fucking killed 16 fucking officers. And you know that motherfucker. She's like, it was 17 actually.
Yeah, and your mom.
Yeah.
Every one of like he's going
Every
through.
One of these stories would have been better than the movie we got.
Yeah. Like show me the woman that plays the samurai woman. She's good.
Yeah.
Like, she's fun to watch.
I would have watched a movie about her.
Yeah.
I would have watched her revenge. Fucking Kill Bill in the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that would have been better. Yeah.
Fucking General Titus, the Empire's greatest general turned his greatest traitor.
Yeah, the genius tactician, yeah.
Farmer, you're here, I guess. Yeah. And, oh, hey, Korra, or should I call you by your other name, which I don't even fucking remember at this point.
Starts with an A.
Yeah, you're the fucking galaxy's most wanted for definitely not killing the king.
I like how he's like, oh, by the way, catching you will put me in the Senate.
Yes.
It's like, do you know how easy it is to get in the Senate?
So Kai,
have you not been following American politics? So have you not heard of George Sanders wasn't a senator, but like, you know how easy it is to get into government?
Tommy Tuberville?
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, so Kai, the asshole pilot who's betrayed them all, is like, hey, fucking, I've forgotten his name. Starts with a G.
Gunner,
yes. Yeah. Gunner, get up. I got a job for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this bolt gun.
Yeah, I like how they reduce him to another mustache twirling bad guy.
Yeah. Like, all you got to do, you just got to, pull the trigger and kill Cora, who I know you got a big crush on.
Yeah.
But, like, this is the only way you're going to get out of this alive if you show that you can be, a little bit loyal to the Nazis.
Grow a mustache and twirl it, and then they'll probably let you go.
If you be a Nazi for a little while, the Nazis will let you go.
Yeah.
And finally, Gunner's like, well, actually, fuck you. He pulls the gun out, uses it to kill Kai, and the good guys free themselves, and there's this big running fight. There's some decent things going on, but like it would have been better if there wasn't slow motion every 5 seconds.
It really does kind of reduce down to a 300 feel.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone's got their thing, right? And I get that Zack Snyder does slow motion or whatever. And it's just like, it's become a cliche tool to show anticipation, where when now we've seen it so much in other media that when we see it, like we know what we're being primed for, and it kind of takes it out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're just sitting there like, how fucking long is this shot gonna take?
Like this shot could have been 2 seconds and now it's 15.
You know what's better is kinetic, hard hitting action where you can feel the impact of things. And like every blow you can feel it in your chest. And I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head, but since I'm on the spot, I can't. But
Mandalorian season 1 with Cara Dune.
Yeah. A lot of Cara Dune stuff is, and they shoot that in a way where there aren't a ton of cuts. Like it shows off the choreography and stuff, and you can. Andor is another really good example of this, where even the blaster bolts have a punch when they hit, like not just people, like they hit the wall behind the guy, and you can hear them slam into it. And they make the blaster bolts move just a little bit faster, and it's just like it feels so dangerous. That is scarier than slow motion.
Or Force Awakens, the last lightsaber duel between Kylo and Finn,
like how
and
it's
then
like
Rey.
Like really visceral. And
it feels like they're doing like big broadsword bashing against bashing. Anyway, where were we?
Gunfight. Yes.
Blood Axe brother goes running up a ramp. He does a sacrifice. Go take out the turret gunner.
I like how, by the way, he like hits him through the gunner thing, and he just like moves his head, and he's like, you missed me.
I'm not gonna pull out my sidearm and shoot you 3 times.
And he's like, I got a little life left, and then hits him,
stabs him, and like somehow like it the gunner's arm like flips a switch, and the whole ship just starts falling over.
No one in the ship can control the ship anymore.
It's only that one gunner.
Why?
Like this is the point where I turn into the CinemaSins guy, and I hate that guy because like he points out all the stupid little things.
You're really funny. I love that guy, and part of the reason I love him is he kind of sounds like you. That's part of the reason I listen to him. So like this is, if you've designed a ship where your exposed tail gunner can receive damage and then wrestle control the entire ship away from the pilots.
You've designed a bad ship.
Unless he is the pilot, in which case you've made your turret gunner your pilot. That's also a terrible fucking idea.
So while all this is happening, Cora and fucking Captain McNazi wind up on
boss fight.
Yeah, they wind up on the platform from the end of GoldenEye.
Yeah, I literally have my notes. For England, James.
And they have a fight scene, which, okay, this fight scene was actually okay.
With this and the other thing, I wonder if Zack Snyder is a James Bond fan.
Maybe.
Because the thing with the neck thing, that really was out of Tomorrow Never Dies.
That could be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they have this fight scene, like Cora breaks both of his arms and like kills him with his own stick, and he falls off the platform, and then it's great.
But which, by the way, he falls off. All 3 of us are like, he's not dead.
So they have
they return to Wheat World.
Yes, they go back and they're like, hey, let's have a party and get ready to fucking fight the war or whatever.
The robot, Sir Anthony
Hopkins has fucking deer horns now.
Sir Anthony Hopspot.
I'm sorry.
Has made a real pretty hat.
Yes.
Made of antlers. And I don't know.
I was like, hey guys, do you remember this character exists?
I like how he has no capacity for emotion yet. He looks so proud of it.
The only capacity he has is like when Water Girl touches his cheeks, he blushes.
Yeah.
He has those little pink lights on his cheeks that light up.
But he can't like emote.
Yeah.
But like it pans across him. He's like, oh, look at this fucking hat. It's like another story I wish you would have told me. The movie could have been about how everyone left to go fight and he made the antler hat. And I was like, that would have been a better movie.
A better story.
Yeah.
So we cut to Admiral Nazi.
General Jackass.
Who is like, his corpse is kind of splayed against some rocks. And like
like Alec Trevelyan and where he's, I have expected everything to fall down on top of him.
So like, Emperor Palpatine comes out and is like, oh, he's still alive. Prepare a medical transport. And they pick him up. They take him back to the ship. They fucking hook him up to some wires. They put him in a Bacta bubble. And he fucking LSD trips to see fucking Belisarius, Korra's dad from a billion years ago now. Yeah. And Belisarius is like, all right, look, listen to me very carefully, because I am not going to repeat myself. You are going to kill every single rebel. You are going to bring my daughter to me, and then I'm going to crucify her right outside the Senate building. Yeah. If you fail to do any of this, then I will crucify you instead.
Someone's getting crucified.
Yes.
I like how he's like, I found your daughter. That's great. And he's like, what you've done actually is collected all these badasses and put them in the same room with a genius tactician general, and now they're our enemy. Thanks.
So
why did you have soldiers that needed to rape someone? Couldn't you have just sent down the guys that didn't want to rape anybody?
Yeah. Like, don't we have any female soldiers? You couldn't send them down?
And he's like, we're Nazis. And he's like,
oh, yeah, good point.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So Admiral McNazi, like, wakes up out of his fever dream and the bubble bursts and he's alive again. And I think that's how it ends.
That's, to be continued.
Yeah, that's the end of part 1. Yeah. May there never fucking be a part 2.
Yeah, there will be.
Holy shit.
They've already filmed it. I mean, it's coming. Like that movie. All right, let's read some of these chats. Frankie says, what's up, Daniel? Hello. Hey, Chris and Daniel. Hey, to be fair, no one is another John Williams from Wenton. That's true.
True.
Wyatt says, hey. Wheat, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was wheat.
Fair.
Yeah. Chris says, may the force be with you, Daniel and Chris. I hope you're having a great night, and I wish you both and your families a very Merry Christmas. Thank you. Which, by the way, if you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you're celebrating something else, happy whatever the fuck that is. And if you're not celebrating at all, cool. Great. If you're like me and you're an atheist and you're still celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. Because we're not leading a war on Christmas. Just spoiler alert. Bald since 16.
Okay.
I personally identify that because I've been growing gray hair since I was 16. So this episode was incredibly well done and a great take on Nebula. Loved it.
Yeah. Marvel What If. Good time.
Nikiller 10. It's not because your name's bad. It's because it's so small I can't read it. Hello there.
Hello there.
General Kenobi. Rebel Moon. I better check that out then.
No. Don't.
You know what? If you already have the Netflix subscription and you don't have anything else to do,
if you have 2 hours and very little self-respect, then go for it.
Nothing can replace Star Wars, though. Agreed.
Yep.
When was this released? What platform is it on?
Just a few days ago.
Netflix.
Yes. Yeah. It had a limited theatrical release on the 15th, I think, and then Netflix released the 21st.
I wonder what their box office was.
Can't imagine it was very much.
Like its weekend box office? Were they showing it anywhere around here?
I didn't look into it. I imagine it would be like the big cities. So like the closest would have been like Chicago or St. Louis.
$90 million budget is actually smaller than I expected.
Lines up with what we saw.
Yeah. There really isn't any figures on... Sorry, the budget's anywhere between 90 and 165 million. So,
well, are they counting both parts?
I don't know. Across the Stars and Binary Sunsets are just perfect. I agree. Is there a small green alien that speaks backwards in broken English?
I don't think so.
I would have to watch it again, which I'm not going to. NP says hello.
So did they have
food?
Yeah,
that probably made sense in context of what we were saying earlier.
Yeah, but we weren't watching that closely. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, this is the longest live show we've ever done, I think.
Probably.
So we're gonna go now, so as to not be here anymore. We'll be back next week with our 2023 year in review, which we will talk about all of the. You and I saw a bunch of movies this summer, a lot of nerd movies, and
we'll talk about them.
The best of them, the worst of them.
Maybe we'll even make a ranked list. Who knows?
The very worst of them, The Flash.
I don't know. Rebel Moon might be competing with it at this point.
Yeah, at least Michael Keaton was in The Flash.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's Batman specifically. And even one scene with him makes me more invested in it than Rebel Moon. And we'll also talk about the other Marvel What If episodes. If there's any Star Wars
we'll have to go lightning round on it. But
yeah. And then we'll do Battlefront after that as well. So thanks for joining us tonight. If you stuck around for this entire episode, which has been an hour and 36 minutes so far, thank you so much. Thanks for the chats and the support. Make sure you like the stream, like us on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and follow us on Discord. And we'll see you later.
Bye.